Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and back to a brand new video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the wonderful bartender that we all know and hate, AOC. So recently, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but recently the House passed a bill banning biological boys and men from competing against females in schools in sports, which is a huge win. Finally, some common sense laws being passed for biological females not having to compete with men any longer in a variety of sports. And of course, AOC, the lovely AOC, was not happy about this and decided to get on the House floor and say I think one of the most outrageous speeches that I've ever heard in my entire lifetime. She said it here. So we're gonna go over what she had to say and react to it in real time because that's just what I do. So without further ado, let's sit back and watch this disastrous reaction from somebody who claims to be a fighter for women's rights. It's always funny how the left always claims to fight for women's rights, and then when their rights are actually being fought for, they get upset. Because God forbid you upset trans people. God forbid. Without further ado, roll it.
Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body, who, as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing there, allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls. And to that, today, what we have to say are two words: not today. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism. Trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all, I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill. Assaulters love this bill. But also, CEOs love this bill because Los Angeles is on fire right now. And this is the #1 priority this majority has. Thank you, and I yield back.
Don't you just love it? Don't you just love the way that they like to flip the script and create a different narrative? So now people who love this bill protecting young girls in schools from biological men competing in their sports and being in their locker rooms, the only ones who love this bill, according to AOC, are bigots. Of course, all the bigots. Come together, bigots. It's just us. Come, you're safe here. No, I think people who love this bill are people with common sense, are people who understand that there is a difference biologically between men and women. People who understand that science actually is a real thing and that the male and female bodies are built differently. The fact that she tried to equate, well, when I was in school, I did co-ed sports. Okay, co-ed sports is different than competing in a sport with only females or only males and then having a biological male coming into the female sector and deciding to compete with them as a female. That is vastly different. But what they love to do on the left is they love to redefine the definition. I mean, again, this is the same group that can't define what a woman is, so not shocking, but they like to redefine what's actually happening and they like to downplay it. What I would say to that is the reason why Donald Trump won a big factor is because people are tired of woke politics. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, one of the most popular ads that Donald Trump had that, according to critics and according to polls, did so well was the ad in which Kamala Harris is spouting, trans issues in California and how happy she is that trans males can have sex surgeries in prison that's going to be paid for by tax dollars. And she was so excited about that. That one ad did so much damage to her campaign.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
It's just common sense. We're not asking for rocket science here. We're not asking you to bend over backwards and change things. We're asking you to accept that males and females are different, and that yes, we should be actively trying to protect females in the sport setting. But what does she do? She tries to flip it, right? And she tries to say that people who care about this bill don't really care about females because they're not pro-abortion. They're not pro-women killing their babies. So therefore, you can't be pro-women in sports. You can't be pro-women in anything if you don't agree with the murder of innocent unborn children. You see how backwards that thinking is? You see how manipulative that thinking is to say that if you don't think like me on this subject, then you can have a different perspective on this subject. Can't do both. They try to say that. They try to push that agenda. Of course, it always falls flat because we all know that common sense is going to win at the end of the day. And guess what? Donald Trump won. He won every swing state. He won the popular vote, and he won the Electoral College. And a big factor in that win is the American people being sick and tired of woke politics like this. Like the AOCs trying to convince us that biological boys, who she says are girls, should be allowed to compete with females for the sake of women's rights. Yeah. Editing Chuck here. She also goes out of her way, and I forgot to mention this earlier, she goes out of her way to redefine what the bill actually means. So she lies and says that this bill is going to allow officials to now do body checks on females to make sure that they have the female anatomy, which, by the way, is nowhere in this bill. Total lie. But then again, that's what they do. They go to the extreme and they try to create a false narrative to support their extreme views on biology, men and women, etc. She also goes on to say that this bill is really about trying to define what femininity is in sports, which is a total bull-faced lie, because we have seen many females, biological females, in sports like basketball and boxing and track and field and swimming who are husky, who have tall bodies, are muscular. We've seen women who are biological females who have a strong masculine physique. It doesn't mean that we're trying to redefine what femininity is. What we're saying is you can be as masculine as you want to be as long as you are biologically a female, as long as your estrogen levels are that of a female, to make it fair across the board. That's all. I don't care if you have short hair, long hair. I don't care if you wear trunks, if you don't. I don't care. What I care about, and what most people care about, is the fairness of biological females competing against each other, as opposed to having males pretending to be females competing against females and having a clear advantage. That's what we care about. But she's trying to make this about everything but that, right? Oh, now we're trying to redefine how a woman should look, and that's what this is really about. Oh, now we're trying to, look at children's bodies and force them to undress. No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's doing that. That's nowhere in this bill. That's a total bold-faced lie. But when you have no truth to stand on, this is what they do. This is the world that we are living in today, folks. Good news, though, we're pushing back. We're fighting back. And bills like this being passed is a showing that no longer are woke politics going to rule the day. People are fighting back. And Americans are sick and tired of the nonsense. We're sick and tired of being gaslit and told that this issue isn't really a big issue. We shouldn't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Look over there. Fire in LA. Like, what the hell does the LA fires have to do with this bill? Please tell me. But again, this is what Democrats do, and a perfect example of that is Whoopi Goldberg over on The View, our favorite show. So last week, Nancy Mace and Jasmine Crockett over on the floor got into an argument about this trans bill, and The View was talking about it, and this is what Whoopi Goldberg had. This was her takeaway about the trans bill. Watch this.
I don't understand why she's so concerned about trans athletes and not concerned about the price of groceries. That's all I heard. People kept saying, we're concerned about the price of groceries. Well, Nancy, this is where you could shine in a way that we haven't seen you shine before. Stand up for the people. Stand up for all the stuff that people are being forced to pay for. That is not necessary.
The price of eggs. Yes, we shouldn't be talking about men and women's sports and in women's spaces like locker rooms and bathrooms and sporting arenas. No, we can't talk about that because the price of groceries, the price of eggs. We can't do both, right? We can't have a conversation about both things because our minds just can't comprehend it. So it's important for every senator and congresswoman and man on the House floor to only talk about groceries, because if we talk about women's sports and women's rights and their freedoms and their safety, then somehow the price of eggs is going to quadruple. Thank God for Whoopi explaining that. Now I get it. Now I understand why my eggs are so freaking expensive. I've been worrying about women's sports and women's safety. What an idiot. Yeah, and guys, that wasn't a parody. That she was 1,000% being for real. She was being 1,000% genuine in her response. That was her response. Not about the protection of women in sports and young girls in sports. Not about that, no. I can't believe Nancy Mace is talking about this and not talking about eggs and groceries. Do you see how liberals will do anything to try and minimize truth? Right? We're talking about biology here. We're talking about safety here. But because it makes trans people who make up less than 0.1% of the population, because it may upset them, let's not talk about that stuff. Let's not even acknowledge it. Let's just call it bigotry and change the subject as quickly as possible. Groceries, LA fires. You guys keep doing that while the rest of us continue to focus on what really matters. And by the way, yes, groceries matter, and protecting young females also matters. And we can do both things. Shocking. Anyway, guys, regardless of what they have to say, this is a great win for not just the right, but just Americans as a whole and females as a whole. This is a win, and let's celebrate it. And hopefully it continues to roll over into other sports and other levels of sports, right? Not just high school, but also college and elite sports, professional sports. We want this to be the rule and not the exception. Protect women, period. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this video and AOC's perspective of this video. Do you think that one person can only focus on one issue at a time? And if you are anti-abortion or pro-life, then you shouldn't be able to talk about this topic. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down below. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit my notification bell so you know when I post a brand new video. Until next time, guys. Peace.